Oh, I think I just sent a note to the panelists. You want to send that out to people about the supplies?
Sure.
To everybody, you know, Amber, while we're assembling. I see Barbara Waldman raised her hand. I don't see a lot of people in the chat. I don't know. What did Barbara want to say?
I could allow her to talk. Barbara, I'm going to unmute you if you have a question.
Okay, great. Do you hear me now?
I do, yes.
Oh, great. I just want to tell you how much I enjoy this. And you're just a wonderful, you're a wonderful woman and a terrific teacher. And I enjoy so much the opportunity. Thank you very much, both of you.
Oh, thanks, Barbara.
Yes.
That's a nice way to start the program with that warm hello. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Let me ask you, please. I'm just going to observe, if you don't mind. I had an exhausting day. I did a lot of artwork this morning. I was at the parish for 2 hours. I'd just like to observe, if that's all right with you.
Of course it is. Of course.
Thank
you. Your time. Thank you for coming on, Barbara. I'm curious, what other program did you go to?
Are you of yours?
Yes.
Oh, the last one you had, you did it so well. I was just so impressed. I'm trying to think how I could recall the name of it. It was done also at this library, and before that, I did with you at the Pollock House.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And you're just great. You're just great. And I've wanted to reach out to you a few times and say thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
It's an honor. And thank you to the libraries like, Amber and this Middle Country Library for supporting these art programs.
Absolutely.
It's there's certain advantages to Zoom, right? We can have greater access. So
yes, it really was this is a blessing in disguise, I suppose. This little thing we got caught up in this winter, and discovering other ways to communicate and enjoy the life.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Oh,
sorry, Barbara, I unmuted you. I apologize. I just wanted to make my little announcement. So I just wanted to welcome everybody who's coming in. As you may see, this is set up as a webinar. So what that means is you're going to have to use your chat box for the most part to communicate with us. Also, like Barbara just did, she raised her hand. Joyce and I took note, and we're able to unmute her. So when we unmute somebody, you cannot see them, but they can use their microphone to speak. Now, it's also going to be possible when we get to the art portion that we could allow you to come on film as well if you want to show what you were doing or tell a story or that sort of thing. So we do have those options. The first part of the program is going to be Joyce going through her slides. And then when we get to that portion, we'll open that up and I can reiterate the options for everybody. So welcome. And if this is your first Zoom program, just note that your chat box is at the bottom of your screen. There's a little icon that says chat. If you press that, it'll pop up and then you can communicate. Now, I do encourage you to select all panelists and attendees if you're asking a question, because it's quite possible that somebody else has the same question as you, so we can kind of streamline everything. If you have a technical question or a personal question that you just want to ask us, you can certainly select all panelists. But if you're answering any questions that Joyce may ask throughout the program or something pops up in your head, please select all panelists and attendees.
Amber, thank you so much. You can hear me, right?
Yes, of course. Yep.
So first, before I get started, I would like to thank the Middle Country Public Library and Amber in particular, like I said, for hosting this program. And we're going to work together tonight because during this program, I really want to hear from you, okay? Because my style of teaching is informal. And rather, I will impart information about Frida Kahlo and her art, but we're going to look at Frida Kahlo's art, and I want you to respond to it, interpret it. With modern art, which is basically what this is, it's really open to interpretation, and it's subjective, and there's many ways to see the images, and you might relate to it, things from your own life. And then after the slideshow, we're going to do a drawing activity together. It doesn't take any special skill, and you are welcome to observe and enjoy just the drawing activity as well. And at the end, Amber will give you some camera access to show off your artworks. So I'd like to just share something about myself and why Frida Kahlo is so important to me. I'm an artist and an author, and I've always made art my whole life. And I was in art school in the early 80s, going to School of Visual Arts in New York City, and just having a grand time, like what could be better, right? And I was 19 years old, and my brother died when he was 25. And of course, this was extremely difficult to deal with, especially at such a young age. And I recall I went with a school trip to the Gray Gallery downtown in Washington Square area. And there was the work of Frida Kahlo. She wasn't well known at that time. She was just coming into her own. And I looked at her paintings, and I saw how she told the story of her life very intimately through these paintings. And she told about her pain, her grief, her loss, every detail of her life. And it was very moving to me. And I actually feel like it saved my life, because I felt at that time, I said, well, I remember standing there and I said, wow, I was like, well, if she can tell the story about her pain, I could do the same thing. And there's no subject that's off limits for art, okay? And look at how beautifully she does it. She's also transforming pain into something universally communicative, right? And I realized also with that is that loss is a human experience. Grief is a human experience. It's not unique to me. So there's also a connection there between human beings through the art. So that's the spirit that I approach Frida Kahlo with, a great reverence and also gratitude, because she didn't have it easy. And she just continued painting no matter what. She was extremely resilient. So let's take a look at her artworks, and I want to hear from you a little bit about what you see in them, and Amber will read the chat as we go along, okay? So thank you for letting me share my story. So Frida Kahlo, of course, today, she's very well known. She was a Mexican artist. And today she's noted worldwide as one of the most important artists in the world. And her photographs and images are reproduced ad infinitum now. But it wasn't always like that for Frida Kahlo. In her own day in the 30s and the 40s, of course, women were, they weren't given the same opportunities as men, right, as artists. So she's finally come into her own. So here you see a genealogy chart, okay? So this one, I'll tell you a little bit about her background. Her father was born in Germany, he was Jewish, and her mother was Mexican. And there's Frida Kahlo in the middle, right? And you could see she's sort of in the coming out of the mother's womb there. Now, this particular artwork is a retablo. A retablo is a metal, typically painted on metal. It's a traditional Mexican art form where it's used sort of like a prayer or a thankfulness for a blessing or a miracle to the saints or to God. But what's interesting about this one is this genealogy chart, the format, was actually used by Hitler to track people's so-called purity in their genealogy chart And she made this at the time when Hitler made interracial marriages illegal. So she's actually sort of subverting this genealogy chart, showing her heritage and sort of turning it around for her own autobiographical reference. Now, what's interesting in this one, just like all of her artworks, is it's a true story. Her father really was German and so on and so forth. But she's telling it in a way where there's imaginary elements, right? The sizes of things, the people in the sky, and so on and so forth. But Frida Kahlo said, I do not paint my dreams, I paint reality. Okay? But she's imbuing it with a sense of imagination. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you see in this picture? Now, this is a tough image to look at for some people, but I really do. I'm not going to do all the talking because I already know my own opinions and I have a heavy New York accent. So I'm going to take a break and I want to hear from you. What's going on here? How does she portray herself? What do you notice? First thing. Amber, we can't hear you. I don't know if anybody's putting
No,
any.
I haven't spoke yet. In pain, brace, column, brokenness, held together with feminine raw bare sensations in a
Excellent.
barren landscape.
Wow, that was excellent. That was
I know.
that was a really full description because
Yes, thanks
she
Steve for
does-
that one.
yeah, that was excellent. On the one hand, she does look broken. She's got nails in her. She's crying, right? There's a crack in the middle, but she also shows herself with this incredible sensuality and strength. She's upright. Look at her face. She's looking straight at us. She's not looking down, right? She's looking at the viewer. She's forging ahead, and yet she's in a barren landscape. So when you make your pictures later, I want you to think about how the setting reinforces the story, right? Now this picture,
Wow.
someone said it is a wow. Now,
Yes.
this picture references the bus accident that she was in when she was a teenager. And a metal rod literally went through her body. And it's a miracle that she survived. But for the rest of her life, she did suffer. And she had many, many surgeries. And she had to stay in bed for very long hours. And her initial experience after she had that bus accident, her father gave her paints and set her up in bed so that she could even paint her self-portrait. They put a mirror above her. And that's what started her painting career. So sometimes in life, we don't know how something that's so horrible, there might be a gift in it. We don't want to go through horrible things. No one wants to suffer, but sometimes a gift does come out of it. So you will see in many of her self-portraits this sense of pain and suffering because it was part of her life.
And on another note, Christine did see some strength as well.
Absolutely, yes. So Frida Kahlo's work really details her autobiography. It's like a visual diary. So what do we see here? A marital couple. So she married Diego Rivera and her married. He was the very, very important muralist in Mexico. And here she's shown she was really petite. She was, look at her feet. And in real life, if you see photos of them, it actually does kind of look like this. He was a lot older than her. I think he was like 20 years older than her. Her parents did not approve of the marriage. At that time, as I said, her career was always in his shadow because she was a woman. And one newspaper once commented, Frida Kahlo, wife of Diego Rivera, dabbles in paint.
Yeah.
Okay, right, dabbles. So despite that she persevered, she did have a one-woman show during her lifetime, but it really wasn't until way after her death that she got her acclaim. So just a little bit about their marriage. They did have a rocky marriage. He had many, many marital affairs, and she was completely aware of them. She made a decision to stick that out until he had an affair with her younger sister.
Oh my.
And then they divorced. And Frida Kahlo also had her share of affairs, including she was bisexual, and sometimes she also had affairs with women. So now let's get back to the art. So I want you, this is a really great picture to look at in terms of narrative painting, storytelling, true story. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Look at the picture. Let's start with the setting. What places do we see? We see a place on the right and one on the left. So who wants to put in the chat, what do we see on the right? What place?
A city, industrial.
Mm-hmm. Who can add to that? What city? Look for clues like a detective.
There's a pyramid there, which Mexico has all those ancient history pyramids there.
Yes, so very good. Mm-hmm.
Sun and the moon, I don't know if that sun is crying or whatever that sun is doing there, and then they're making lightning between them. Maybe that represents a marriage that they're not getting along. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yes, and that is actually the pyramid of the sun and the moon. That's the name of it.
She's anthropomizing the factory. Looks like it's arms and legs coming out of that factory, in front of the factory there too.
Yes, it almost looks like robots, right?
Yeah.
Now, how about at the bottom of the picture? What do you notice?
Standing on a platform to be higher.
What's
Like
that?
She seems to be standing on a pedestal, a platform to raise herself.
Okay, good. And who can go further with that? What else do you see?
Well, the right side is industrial and the left side is plants. But then you have a poor little baby. I think she lost the baby. And then you have a skeleton head, and then you have a little rock figure, which looks like it goes with a pyramid. And then you have rocks there too.
Okay, good. So you're looking for the clues. Now, let's take a look at her herself, just Frida Kahlo. You'll notice she's holding the Mexican flag. What do you notice about her outfit or her body language? Anything? How would you describe it?
Steve in the chat has some good ideas, saying the difference between myth and reality. And then he also mentioned key growth symbols, communication announcements.
Oh, that's good. I've never heard anybody say that, but you're right. The flowers are growth, and the roots, they're growing up from the roots. But on the right, you could look at it that it's communication too.
Yeah. And Noreen is mentioning a quinceañera dress. And then Dominique was saying that it might be a traditional dress.
Now, how do you think this is called self-portrait on the borderline between Mexico and the United States? And she made this when she came to the United States with her husband, Diego Rivera, and he was working on a mural. How do you think she felt about her experience being in the US based on looking at this picture?
I think of Cinderella.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm looking at her and she's dressed like Cinderella, ready for the ball.
Like super feminine, super girly.
Super successful, reaching her dream. I don't know how much she was influenced by Cinderella as much as I was.
Well, she probably wasn't as influenced because she was Mexico and it was like 1940. So I don't know if the Disney program came out that point. I mean, the fairy tale was always there, but she maybe had different references. But that's okay because this outfit that she's wearing, it's what is it called? There are certain symbols that are so universal, right? That it could be Cinderella, could be quinceañera's dress.
She's going to a ball. She's dressed like she's going to a ball.
I just noticed in the smokestacks, you have the smoke coming up and the United States flag is in there. It looks like maybe it's getting burnt up. But that probably is what the United States represents to her, the industrialization. And then the left side is the Mexican one, which is more natural. where you have the plants growing, and instead of roots, you have the wires there on the industrial side.
Yeah. Well, this is how she's visualizing her narrative. She's telling her story without using words. And in fact, she wasn't thrilled about being in the United States because she did miss her homeland, and she did miss the natural setting of Mexico, you know, where she had monkeys and animals and pets and a garden. And she was not used to living in a big city in an industrialized country. So they did eventually, of course, go back to Mexico. This is called, of course, the two.
Oh, Joyce, I just wanted to mention one thing from Maria because I didn't read any of her comments yet. She saw that she doesn't fit in.
And she doesn't fit in. Yeah, when you know when you're on a pedestal, you're not part of the environment, right? You're set apart.
What does it say on that pedestal?
I forget. It says Carmen Rivera. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I don't remember.
That's what it means? It means I don't remember? Or that's
No,
what
I mean, I literally don't remember. I
Yeah.
don't remember what I'm saying that as myself.
I have a magnifying glass. It
Yeah.
says Carmen Rivera, Pinto, EURE, then Trato, EL, Anno 519, I guess 33.
So that's the year. This was painted in 1933.
And this fan is plugged into that.
Yes.
That's what a magnifying glass does.
Very good. Thank you for that. And my little Spanish, I was able to translate.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So the two Fridas. What do you make of this one? Let's first describe it. What do you see here? Frida on the right. What do you? How is it
I
different?
happen to love both of these.
What's that?
I happen to love this painting. I know of it. I don't know much about it, but I love the painting. I like the forms, the detail to both of these women. It's a very complete photo painting, and it's not just dreamy with skulls and things and flowers on the floor and whatever. That's very symbolic, and this of course must be too, but it's very accepting. Is that a heart in both of them that it's connected to
Yes.
both of, I mean, that's a little bizarre. I don't know what that is.
Right. Well, on the right side, the heart is whole, and then on the left side, the heart is exposed. But let's just use conjecture, and there's no right or wrong answer. What does the heart mean to you? When you think of a heart, what comes to
Life.
you?
Love.
Love. Good. Anything else?
Life, just living.
Life, breathing, heartbeat, love.
We have the natural Frida on the right and the artificial dressed up, formalized society's Frida on the left side. And the right side is the natural one. She's wearing her comfortable clothes. She's very formal and it's like artificial there on the left.
Yeah, on the left side, that's actually European Victorian clothing. On the right side, it's the Mexican, wait, how do you pronounce it? Hold on. The Tehuana dress, right? The traditional. Now, in her hand, which you can't tell, she's actually holding a portrait of Diego Rivera, and she made this after they got divorced. So
I don't see that. Excuse me.
Yeah, that little brown thing looks like a pacifier.
Right. Oh, okay.
The nipple part seems to be a little tiny sculpture of his head.
Really?
Yeah, that magnifier is a good thing to keep near your computer.
that's good. Yeah. So, and then on the left side, she has forceps in her hand, and the blood coming from the tube is splattering onto a dress and then sort of turning into a pattern, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, and neither does a scholar for that matter. What do you make of this? What could this be? I mean, what is she trying to represent, do you think? Or what does it mean to you?
We do have a couple of comments. trying to escape pain, heart in pain, could represent her personality, heart symbol they're referring to. And then someone else also said pain. I think that was all in reference to this one. So lots of comments going on in the chat as well.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of like a split personality. The part of her is a native person, part of her is artificial. So she's
Yeah.
painting the duality in her life.
Mhm. Well, also to me, and I'm just saying, every time I look at this, I see something different. But the one on the right looks a little more relaxed, and she's holding, her former husband. Her heart looks a little more whole. And then the one on the left, I don't know, to me, it looks a little stoic. Sometimes when you've suffered a loss, you can get to cope with it. You can get a little stoic, right? The collar, the Victorian dress. So it's art. Art you can't boil down to one thing, right? It's layered. Now this one is called Self-Portrait with Cropped Hair. What do you notice? How does she show herself in this painting?
Masculine.
Very masculine.
And tell us, what about it is masculine? What tells you that?
Her clothes, her hair. Mm-hmm. It looks like she's wearing his suit because it's so big on her.
Yeah, it's oversized. And also look at the way she's sitting. She's sitting like a man, right?
Right.
And she literally did cut her hair off after they got divorced. And sometimes, even when she was very young, it's interesting. There's family photos where she is dressed like a man, and it's shocking in a way for that time, right? It's the 1930s, and she's in her family portrait with man's clothes on. But let's take it a step further here. What could, in your opinion, what could the symbolic meaning of wearing a man's clothes?
Well, she also cut her hair. Her hair's all over the ground. There's a braid near the chair foot. And so she's cutting herself off in the previous life, and she's moving on. And in fact, you said she was bisexual, so that could be part of it too.
Well, I think she's looking for freedom and for having the pleasure of being as liberated as the men were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we also have a good comment from DJ Jones in here. She's been hurt terribly. Things might be easier if she had been a man.
Mm-hmm. And it says way up at the top there, it says in Spanish, my rough translation is, you loved me when I had hair. Now that I don't have hair anymore, you don't love me anymore.
Huh.
So how does that add to your interpretation? What does that mean? What could that mean? Why would somebody say that? I had hair, now I don't have hair, you don't love me.
She wasn't secure in the relationship, for sure. If she could think that such a little thing would change his feeling for her, she's not secure with that relationship.
Well, that's really interesting that you said that, because you must be secure in your relationships, because a lot of times, to be honest with you, I felt sometimes, if I'm not really pretty, I'm getting older, will this person like me as much? Because I'm more insecure in that way, right? So I relate with Frida Kahlo. I think it's the idea also of being objectified, right? That someone might love you for your beauty rather than your strength. And then also the idea, like someone said, this is really addressing gender roles, right? And maybe being more powerful in a man's role, right? In a man's world. So again, you can't boil it down, but this is a great picture. It was made, like, let's say 80 years ago. It's as relevant today as it was then, right?
But I think that a lot of women, when they were young, I don't know how old she is here, we felt that if the eye makeup didn't go on perfectly, that we wouldn't look good, and our date, whatever, wouldn't be as interested. If everything was perfect, he might be. As you get older, yes, I think you do get more confident. I would hope so. We all have our questions as to we're not enough. I mean, I can't imagine that anybody thinks that they're always enough, or even at any particular time, with great honesty. But this is really telling of women's freedoms and being liberated. And I don't know if it's even sexually connected at all to her being a bisexual, or I don't know.
Well, I think also it goes beyond sexuality. I think it really is speaking also, it's really about gender, right?
Yeah. Liberation, no?
And liberation. And it's fascinating. This painting, you could go so deep into it, right? Even the idea with, the initial women's so-called liberation, where men, when they went into corporations, they were expected to behave more like men, right? I don't know if you recall that in this,
Right. A role.
right? They were like with the big shoulder pads.
Handsome.
So, great painting because it can open up so much discussion.
Excuse me, I'd just like to say,
Sure.
isn't it funny that the scissors were the same way as the other scissors too? And if you remember in South Pacific, didn't she cut her hair?
She really did in real life cut her hair.
Yes.
But also the scissor and the idea of cutting, that could also be symbolic. You're cutting off your past, right? And it
And
could
she
be
had-
layered in meaning too, like the scissor and all the surgery she had. So it's not just one thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is called Diego on My Mind. I love this one. She's wearing the traditional Tehuana dress. And it's like he's literally in her mind, almost like an obsession or like tattooed onto her forehead. But what I love about this one is look at all those beautiful lines radiating out from her headdress. What do you make of that? What does it remind you of?
It looks organic, like a leaf, if a leaf could be white.
Mm-hmm.
Did she paint this before the divorce or after the divorce? Can you tell from the date?
You know what? I forget. I'm gonna backtrack. And when I stop the screen share, I'll let you know, okay? Because I gotta look into my notes. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think she's reflecting a lot of purity. Maybe that's her dream. But it's very powerful to me.
Well, this is a Mexican religious representation where they have that kind of presentation with that
Yes.
headdress around. So that's very Mexican. But then her putting him in the middle of it, that's her interpretation, where she's doing it her own way.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Also, I love this one because those white lines, you can see it in so many ways. They look like vines, but then they also start to look like cracks, right?
Yeah, we
Or-
had a couple of comments
Uh-huh.
too. Steve said, I see rays of sunshine, but
Mhm.
Christine sees Mexican soil.
Mhm.
Well, it could be like veins also. I was thinking leaves, but maybe more like veins,
Yeah.
human.
Yeah, and that's why her paintings are great. I mean, they're ambiguous. You can see them in so many ways. Now, Frida Kahlo and Diego did, by the way, they did get back together. And Frida said, he is my comrade, right? So they had obviously a lot of challenges and heartbreak in the marriage, but they also remained very, very close.
They were also socialists, and she was friendly with, I can't think of his name, the Marxist communist guy. She had an affair with him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got killed at her house.
Yeah, and also she didn't hesitate to show facial hair and her unibrow. She could have improved herself and made herself look a lot better, but she made herself look realistic as she was with the unibrow and the very heavy facial hair.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, aesthetics of beauty are also learned.
Objective.
Maybe, maybe she didn't think that it would look better with a thinner eyebrow, right? Eyebrow styles change.
The mustache.
Well, in this particular one, she did purposely accentuate the hair because, well, let's just take a look at it. You see her with her pet monkey, Fu Lang Chang.
Mhm.
Now, what's going on here? How does she show the closeness between her and the monkey?
Dark hair.
Yes, you see, they both have the super dark hair. It's almost like she's making herself look more wild, and
But-
she's making the monkey look more human.
Also, like she's his mother, his real mother. I actually use this painting every year, if I may say, Joyce, with my special ed kids. We do a self-portrait with a pet they have or a pet they wish they have. They love this picture.
No, that's great. No, this
Yeah.
is a great picture. And the way she has the ribbon connecting the two, showing the closeness, it's very relatable, right?
Mhm.
And she's got herself and the monkey in the wild, right? And of
Mm.
course, she didn't have children because she had two miscarriages. And she did several paintings about and drawings about those miscarriages. They're very intimate and somewhat shocking.
Mm.
They're so personal. And that also leads us to the issue that Frida Kahlo was specifically, it's a beautiful thing. She's painting a lot of experiences that are specific to women, right?
Right.
And she's giving women a voice in a very intimate way. She's really making herself completely vulnerable through her art. It's so honest.
You know, I just noticed something. The two plants behind her, they almost look like hair plants. And that might have been the white strings in the picture that we just saw. You know, that you have these plants, this kind of nature with where you have white strings coming out of it.
Actually, that's a good
Going
point.
back to the previous painting where it might have been influenced by that kind of plant that grows there.
That's actually a really good point. I don't know if anyone went years ago. There was a show at the Botanical Gardens in the Bronx, and they had Frida Kahlo's aspects of her house and all of her plants.
Yeah.
It was remarkable.
Yeah, well, you see, this plant is just like that painting, right before.
Yes. And she was surrounded by plants in her house and both outside. And so, yes, it could have been an influence. I can't say for sure. Okay, now, this is one of her last paintings, Viva la Vida. Towards the end of her life, she...
Trotsky. I'm sorry, Trotsky, I think.
Yes,
is the name of the guy. Trotsky, yes.
Yes, that's who she had the affair with.
Yeah.
So this painting, at the end of her life, she didn't have as much control of her hand to do as much detail. So they get a little looser, the paintings, and she did a lot of fruit paintings. And this one is beautiful. You see the melon in different stages of life. And she ends, you know, really on a positive note. Viva la vida, live life. But she did die at a young age. She was in her 50s. I forget the exact number. And she did lose her leg, and she was in a lot of pain. And she was prescribed painkillers, and she took more than the prescribed amount. Whether or not she did it intentional, really, there was never an autopsy or anything like that. But her last words were really remarkable. She said something like, I forget, like, it's been a great life, but I don't want to come back, or something like that. But you could look it up. I botched the quote a little bit.
Her life is like a struggle. She seems to have lost so much through her life, and she's had a very sad life.
Very sad.
Well, you know, sometimes in life, things don't go our way, as we all know. But I admire Frida Kahlo's. She had pain and loss, but she also did have tremendous joy. She was very sensual. She painted throughout. She wore beautiful dress and fixed herself up and makeup and hair, and she was filled with life despite her pain, actually. She would paint in bed, laying there with a cast, and she would actually paint the cast itself, the body cast, with beautiful flowers, right? So she's actually a great example of someone who had a disability, so to speak, and never gave up.
Well, she made the most of it, for sure.
What?
She made the most of it.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes
That's
these
important.
experiences, they actually, nobody wants to suffer, but sometimes they add depth to someone's life that you maybe wouldn't have had. had you not had that experience. That's just what I found in my own life.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
the word for her is resilience also.
Resilience, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Joyce, I don't know if it was in this country. I know some Frida Kahlo show went through the Brooklyn Museum a couple years ago, but I was lucky enough to be in London a couple years ago where my husband lives, and they had an incredible show there. I went 3 times to the Victoria and Albert because not only was it her artwork, but it was her clothing, her jewelry, photographs of where she lived with all the plants and flowers, and her braces that she wore, all these different things. And I have to say, in the end, I really think it was kind of the overall feeling was joyful and energy because she was a very dynamic person despite her issues. And I get a lot of positive vibes that I send on to my special students. You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
Very good to hear that.
Show because it did have so many of the objects, right? Like a cat.
Yes. Yep.
Both
A whole bunch of them.
she
Yeah.
went through, and also at the same time realize her celebration of life. I feel, you know what, honestly, these artists, we mythologize these artists. We have all these Frida Kahlo knickknacks. I got a Frida Kahlo pocketbook somebody gave me. But the truth is, I am really grateful for artists like this. Because
Did she paint this last painting or somebody else did?
No, so this one I want to just show you. This is my portrait, my self-portrait.
Wow.
I made this when I was 17, but I'm showing
Wow.
you. I didn't know Frida Kahlo at the time, but it's done in a similar vein. It's a true story told with elements of imagination. So what I want you to take away when we do our artwork today, if you're going to tell a story about your life, you want to use body language. So this is a very clear example, body language, the folded hands, right? The folded arms. Maybe I'm scared or cold or, comforting myself. The facial expression, the eyes, where are the eyes glancing? All these things are going to give clues about what's going on. The setting itself. Setting is place as well as weather and time of day. So in this picture, it's like a barren landscape, similar to Frida Kahlo. And the sky shows the bright future, symbolizing the sun is the bright future hope. And then the looming, impending something in that sky above. And this one I made before my brother died. And those people in the background are sort of the faceless feeling of being numb, right? Where you shut down. So I'm telling a true story, but I'm telling it with aspects of imagination. Does that make sense? Everything in the picture gives a clue to the story, but then you can interpret it many, many ways. Also, when I made this picture, this gave me tremendous joy, figuring out how to paint it and finding a vehicle for expression, right? So that's what we're going to do today. Now, you do not have to draw a picture that is of a heavy subject. We're going to pick some topics. And the discussion went 40 minutes, but that's okay. We'll get started and then we'll take some sharing and you can always figure out, after you can complete it. Okay? So, okay. So this is what we're going to do. You can pick, I'm going to give you some prompts. So how about this? The happiest day of my life. The saddest day of my life. A fear. How I feel right now, post-vaccine COVID. Okay? Or you might pick another topic. The day I met my husband. Okay? So how are we going to show this? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, and this is just an example, and I'm going to draw darker than I normally would so you can see it on Zoom. But when you do your drawing, sketch lightly so that you can easily change it. And then you're going to fill in the detail as you go along. Okay? Now, this is a sketch, so don't worry about your drawing skill. I want you to get your idea across on this. It's not like a finished picture. So let's just say, for example, I'm going to do, my drawing is going to be about how I feel right now post-vaccine. So I feel movement. I do feel growth. So I'm going to make a little plant here. okay? But I do feel like it's this, a bit for me, it's like an awkward time. It's like we're not there yet type of feeling, right? Now I'm gonna put myself in here meditating, because that's how I center myself. And I'm gonna draw this really dark so you can see. I'm gonna show you, this is a technical thing, how you can easily make a figure, a person. So here we go. Here's my torso. I'm breaking it down into simple shapes. I'm not drawing detail, okay? See that? And then the legs, it's almost like those wooden figures, right? Here's one thigh, here's another thigh. They're loops. You do the loopy drawing, right? And there's my foot. See that?
Great.
Now the arms, okay? So this is, you know, you can even, if you're even intimidated by loops, you could even do a stick figure. That's okay. Some people have done stick figures, but they get the idea across. So now I have my arms, okay? Now look, if you're running or you're doing a different kind of, then you bend it up, right? See that?
Mhm.
And the head. Don't put the head on two little sticks like this,
Mhm.
okay?
Huh.
Neck, we don't really have long necks like that.
Mm.
And our shoulders are sloped. So as a generalization, I'm going to slope the shoulders here, right? And then I put my head over here, okay? But I'm not making it like I'm not a tree. See that?
Mhm.
Okay, now, if I was alone, I would have done this much lighter. Now I'm going to show you how I can add details to this figure, okay?
Joyce, why a small head?
Well, that was just, it's not really that small. I didn't really do that on purpose. But, you
Okay.
know, in art actually, and we're not working, this lesson is not about distortion, but if you are doing distortion, yes, if you do a small head or a large head, it's also symbolic, right? So like a lot of artists, it's funny, in the Museum of Modern Art, when the men would do the women abstract, they make the head really small, not emphasized. That's not our lesson today, distortion. That was more like just my sketch. So don't worry about that. You can always adjust the proportions as you go along too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the clothes on. So here's the collar, right? Here's a sleeve, right? Now, I made the lines, as I said, super dark, but if you didn't, then you just, you know, eliminate those sketchy lines so it doesn't look like a robot.
Mhm.
Okay? Okay, you see what I'm saying here?
Mhm.
Okay? Here's the pants. And then you're going to take these things out, unless you want them there for a reason. So I'm doing this kind of quickly. I want to leave you time. You get this?
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
Hair details. Also, when I put the hair on the head, it's going to look bigger. So the hair is also symbolic. So let's say, you know, if you draw your hair all frazzled or in a bun or whatever, or in a side ponytail, that's going to be part of the picture. If you don't have any, you know, if you eliminate the hair and so on, facial expression. So here is my calm, nice meditative yoga. I mean, meditation. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Plan. So that's imagination. And now I'm going to put something to, how do I feel post-vaccine? I'm a little preoccupied with time. The reason I'm preoccupied with time, which I'm not going to show in the pictures, because I have more unstructured time than I've ever had in my life.
Mhm.
I get scared that I'm not using it right, or, you know, like, am I getting stuff done? Is it okay to relax? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm just going to make this crazy clock with arrows going in every direction. And maybe I'll put like an arrow going through my heart. Right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you see how I'm telling my true story with elements of imagination. Does this make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, now I'll continue while you draw. I want you to start sketching something about your life. You could put yourself, you could put other people, you could put your family. It can be a very sad event. It can be a happy event. It can be personal. Obviously, you don't have to share it. Don't be afraid of what it looks like. Just draw something. Don't think about it too much. Sherry, did you have a question? Sherry, can you unmute Sherry Frank?
No, I'm Shani, not Cherry, Shani. No, I didn't raise my hand, but I just was thinking that today is May 5th, it's Cinco de Mayo. So, you know, the librarian must have been responsible for that, to have this as a celebration.
That's exactly what it
So
is.
congratulations to Amber, our librarian. That's
I know. We're celebrating Mexican culture. And also, fun fact, I found out, I did a little research on Cinco de Mayo. It's an American holiday.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's an American holiday, but it celebrates the
Mexicans.
battle in, I think it was 1862 in Mexico, where their army won out over the French. And but the Mexican people celebrate their Independence Day in September.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it originated with Mexican Americans, and now, of course, it's spread all over the world.
I think everybody wants a day for their heritage, so this just became their day.
That's right. Like the Irish have St. Patrick's Day, and the Mexican Americans have the Cinco de Mayo, and so on.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So everybody, you can start drawing, and if you want to share, just tell us in the chat, and Amber will put you on video. But I'm going to stop talking now.
Joyce, I have a photograph I didn't know if people would want to see. I actually printed it today. When I went to London a couple years ago and they had that great Frida Kahlo thing, I went out to the courtyard because like the Victoria and Albert Museum has a big patio kind of in the middle with a water feature. It's outdoors in the middle of the museum. And they did this beautiful like black sculptural metal. It's Frida Kahlo's face and they put flowers all over it.
Can you tell us about it as you're showing it, Amber? Can you put that on screen share and then you can talk to us about it?
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's so nice.
Noreen, I promoted you as a panelist, so you should be able to come on camera.
Oh, what do I do now? Oh, I have to do something? Okay, hold on. I'm not very.
Just
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Is that? No, wait. Oh, it's not start video. What is it? Oh, yes, it is. Don't look at me. Okay. I'm on a smartphone. I'm not very technical. Oh God, it's bad with the shadows. But they used live flowers. So it's like her headdress and her eyebrows.
Very good.
Can you see it? Or is that bad? Can you see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with my students every day. Can you see this? Can you see? But I'm on a laptop for that, but I'm not allowed to use it after hours. Okay. Yeah. And that's a beautiful artist named Noreen. That's me. Okay. But I just love it because my students loved it when I showed them this. I mean, you see the eyebrows and then you see the headdress. I just thought it was kind of fun.
That's awesome. And I remember from the last talk. So
all right. All right. Sorry. I just thought it would be fun to show it. Thank you.
Was the black flowers also?
Yes, for the eyebrows. That was black flowers. Obviously, they must have spray dyed them or something. Yeah.
Oh.
Those are her eyebrows. Cool, right? The kids love that. They loved it.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Noreen.
Lovely.
Yeah, no problem.
Sharing.
No problem.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, would anyone on the call like to share what you're working on at this point? If so, you can put it on the chat and Amber will turn on your camera.
Okay, I had a couple people raise their hands, so let me take a peek. I guess this group prefers the hand raising, so which is great too. So, okay, Dominique, I am promoting you to a panelist. So just accept my prompt and you will come on screen. There she is.
Okay, Dominique, I'm going to spotlight you and unmute and tell us about your picture, please.
Ooh.
Well, this is my new hobby, the Bollywood dancing.
Oh my gosh, Noreen, that's adorable. That's so cute. Wait, move it over to the center more. Other direction. Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
Lovely, very
It's
nice.
so much fun. I just love it. It's so energetic and it just makes me so happy.
Okay, move the picture down, please. Down. Okay, perfect. I'll move it over to, I don't know, the other direction. The other way. Good, perfect, stop. Okay, great. I love the way you got the body language, you got the smile, you got like sort of a really great aura going around it.
Oh, that's nice, very nice.
That's really good. Now I'm wondering, what is your element of imagination that tells the true story? Is it the aura, or do you want to add more details? Is she floating in a cloud?
It's more the movement. I don't know, in the Bollywood, the movement, it's all about the movement and each gesture. There's an explanation and each gesture means something. Well, I'm not good enough of a sketch artist to be making like specific gestures, but I think I'm more into the movement and the gestures.
I think you got it across there. And let's say if you did want to go a step further with it, and make it more specific about Bollywood and gesture. And let's say you can't draw, you could always glue hands around, or, you know what I mean, to show.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Layer it. Let's
And
say, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the aura was just to show that it's a positive experience, that I'm happy when I do it.
It's beautiful, and I love it. And you took the talk to a little lighter note, so thank you, Noreen. That's
Thank you. You're welcome.
I love it. It's so joyful. And I think I'm gonna follow you, but not do Bollywood. I'll just be alone tonight doing salsa. Okay, who has something else that Amber can spotlight you so you could share?
Hand raise. Oh, I got a hand raise. Beth, I'm coming for you. Where are you? There you are. Okay. All right. It's going to be Beth's turn. She's going to come on camera in just a second here. I do have to say it's kind of exciting that everyone's
Unmute,
kind of.
start video.
There we go. There's Beth.
Oh, hi, Beth.
Hi, I don't see anything. So I don't, oh, there, okay. I had a blank screen for a minute.
You?
I was thinking about my girlfriend. I lost my best friend a year ago, and we had been really close for more than half of my lifetime. So I just,
That's remarkable.
and this is a portrait that a friend of mine painted years ago when we first met. So it's kind of the period from my younger days to our times together at the end.
The drawing is really beautiful. I mean, just the way you drew it, it's so sensitively done.
Body language, nice too.
Yeah.
It's real, and look at the smiles and stuff, and like the expression, it's so simple, but so detailed in the type of expression and the clothes and everything. I'm wondering what, in terms of, since it's Frida Kahlo, yours almost looks more like literal or realistic. You want to add something in there? Where's the element of imagination within the story?
I was thinking about having us possibly with an arm around her shoulder or something like that.
The shoulders are touching, so it shows a certain intimacy just from that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No,
Your closeness is reflected.
You mean something more symbolic?
well, like right now, it's so beautiful the way it is. You don't even really have to change it as a portrait. But just for the sake of the lesson, I'm trying to differentiate.
Oh yeah.
This one is more straightforward. It's more realistic. Two people really could be standing in front of a portrait, right? So it's more of a literal memory rather than Frida Kahlo's style would be to have something in the picture that tells the story, but in real life, you wouldn't actually see it that way.
Well, it would be my broken heart.
Aw, I know.
That's
You have
beautiful.
a broken heart there?
I mean, that would be the thing to add.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. You know, if you
Put
want,
it
Right.
like a heart pin on your shoulder, like you're wearing a pin, and make the pin in two parts, like a zigzag.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I think it would look very pretty in the part where your shoulder is showing. You know, you have
Yep.
it right there. I would
Right.
put two halves of the pin. Yeah,
Right.
on that side. I was thinking the other side.
On that side.
Both side is better, and you have
Right.
the two halves of the heart, and
and
you
you can
Thank you.
little space in the middle. I think that'd be a great idea.
Great suggestion. Thank you.
also show, you could have two hearts like Frida Kahlo. You could have one that's whole because you'll always carry those happy memories of your friend. And I can only imagine how difficult it is to lose a friend after so many years. And so you could have both. You could have it whole and you could have it heartbroken. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's like losing a part of yourself.
I know it is.
So,
I know, but that's really good. And I really, it's a great picture, right?
thank you.
Beautiful.
I
Very,
mean,
very nice.
the actual artistic skill is really good. And thank you for sharing. So we have one more minute. Would anybody else like to share? And Amber will let you in and let you show your picture. Steve would like to share, Amber. Amber, where did Amber go? I don't have the, I don't think I have, I'll see if I have the wherewithal to do that. I don't think I have that ability. Amber, are you there? Can you make Steve, let me see, let me find her over here. I don't know where Amber went. Well, we'll wait. Oh, Amber, can you just quickly see?
Hello, sorry, I was helping a patron here.
Yeah, no, I know you. Can you just, I know we're running.
Yes, yeah, Steve wants to come on?
Yeah, he said, yes, please.
Okay, Steve, yes, you've been active in the chat, so we should allow you to come on and see what you're doing. So, all right, Steve, I just promoted you to a panelist.
Go ahead.
Sorry about the delay, Joyce.
It's okay.
You're doing your job. Different.
Hi, and thank you. Am I showing my video? So
Yes.
this would be my drawing.
And tell us about that one, Steve. I love it.
So I find myself to be a bit of a bookworm, so I put myself into a comfy sofa. And my moon is crying outside because I stay all the time inside, and it misses me. And I'm constantly working on being inspired by Bob Ross type paintings. So I've been and put that up. And the dreams and movement are in my walls, and my color scheme is dark, but I'm trying to invite a warm, nurturing place to invite people once COVID finishes, and hopefully that I can continue to live in a warm, welcoming place, even in my dreams.
That's really very full and really descriptive. I mean, the way you have all the aspects there, Steve, of the coziness and the nurturing and the sense of imagination and the picture, the landscape. And then you also have, it's hard to see on Zoom, but you said there's a moon outside crying. So it's showing, you know, two aspects of being at home, right? And the future looks bright to invite people in.
Yeah.
So I think you did a good job with that. If you want to make it a little more imaginative, you can maybe put a little more imagery around the person, maybe showing what he's reading about, but you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like you could have something that's on the wall coming out of the book, or, you know, it depends how far you want to go with the sense of imagination, like what's on your mind, right?
Thank you very much.
Good job, Steve. Thank you. That was really a beautiful drawing.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot. That was great, Steve.
It's amazing what comes out in just a few minutes. Now, we do have to end, everybody, so I always like to leave with some next steps. Next steps is you can watch a really good video on YouTube. It's 16 minutes. It's by Paul Priestley, Paul Priestley. It's a 16-minute video about Frida Kahlo. It's so good, and it has all the original photos. It zooms into Mexico. It's excellent. Paul Priestley, YouTube. You could watch
Great.
a Hollywood movie with Selma Hayek. It's called Frida. And it's glamorized, but it's a great movie about her life. And you could also take the book out by Hayden Herrera. It was the first really extensive biography written in the 1980s about Frida. So make use of your library. You can always learn more. And thank you so much, Amber, and thank you again to the Middle
I
Country.
just want to add something. There's a children's book about Frida Kahlo, which Scholastic published a number of years ago. So the person who's a special ed teacher might want to use that book, you know, so she could ask in the children's section, because it's a lovely book about Frida Kahlo, and it showed a lot of these paintings in there.
Yeah, and of course, for children, you have to do a lot of editing, right? But there's a lot of images that would interest children. You can, you know, like the Fulang Chang and whatnot. So, oh, and somebody was here from, oh, Steve's from Toronto, Canada. Wow. That's pretty good. Look at how we're all connecting. So everybody, we do
Great.
need to go, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. It was a great class.
I
Thank you,
just wanted to
Joyce.
thank
Thank
Joyce
you.
so much for another great presentation.
Jo-
She'll be
Joyce,
joining us
you gotta-
again.
Joyce,
ahead.
plug your own books too. They're fabulous.
Well, thank you. My book, Imagine That, which is written for children, you
Mhm.
can get it in the Suffolk County Library System, or you could buy it on alibris.com. It has Frida Kahlo in it, actually.
Yep. Yeah.
Imagine That. Okay.
Thank
Right.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
Joyce.
thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Bye, Canada.